Well done, Don.
Don, would you like to come over and join us? I just thought that was...
Are you coming to us?
Isn't it wonderful to hear a man singing about crying? You know, it's just...
Rolf!
Wow!
Emotional.
Wonderful.
Good
Have you
old
met
Rolf.
Jenny, Don?
Yes, we just met.
Don,
Again.
that's the song, Crying. I was just saying to Jenny, it's lovely to hear a man singing about
Yes,
crying, because
it is.
men do cry, don't
Yeah,
they?
not me, but they do, yes.
Oh, right. Why did you write about it?
I was happy when it was a hit. I started crying, and after it became #1, I was not crying anymore.
What's so lovely about
Yes,
it is
that's right.
you've got that little, what do they call it, a hook?
What do you mean? The hook? It's
Yeah.
actually what you hear on the radio a lot these days. You know, every breath that you take, I'll be watching you. Every breath that you take, every breath that's the hook.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Over
the
and over.
crying, is
That's the
bit
hook of
I
that
wanted to-
song.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
But see, that's a song. It's got a story to it and all. Today they have just the hook.
Yeah, exactly. You left school at about 15 and you went and found your own
Well,
career.
I started singing when I was about 15, and started playing around when I was about 15. Until I was about 25, I hadn't made a record. I was usually a third act on a 3-act bill.
But you went to folk music, didn't you? Where in fact the storyline is all important.
Yes, the story. I like the stories, and I like the fact that I could be sort of self-contained. But I didn't sing folk songs. I used to do Angel Eyes sometimes. You know, I liked novelty stuff. I liked. In fact, I wrote a little song that went, "And I love you so."
Oh yes, I know that one. Go a bit more, bit more.
How I've lived till now. Tell them I don't know. I used to do that in folk clubs. They go,
Did you know
it's pop.
The folk clubs
You
here?
know, but I was
everybody
writing stuff
imitating
like
you.
that, you know, then.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? How did you create Vincent? What was the background of that?
Well, that was a book that I was reading. In fact, I don't know if you know, there's a book about a girl named Edie Sedgwick out, and she's the daughter of the Sedgwick family. She became part of the Velvet Underground. The Sedgwicks are kind of a very hoity-toity American family, you know. And I was living in Mrs. Sedgwick's house in Stockbridge, Mass., singing in the school system for the kids. I did about 6 weeks. This is before just when I made my first record, an album called Tapestry. I was reading this book on Van Gogh, and I thought, gee, he's not crazy. You know, the book was telling about how he would just you know, Whitman said, you know, the artist finding no space worthy of himself creates his own space.
Yeah.
And apparently his was pretty big, and people couldn't really get to him too well.
Yeah, most amazing guy.
So he was locked out of basic human contact by virtue of his talent, basically. And so that was the idea of the song, to write the sort of, say, hey, this man wasn't crazy. But the popular myth is always that, you know, if they can say you went crazy, they like to do that.
Don, we were talking to Jenny earlier because she's still so loved and remembered for the Railway Children, which she did 1,000,000 years ago. And you 14 years ago, Jenny, was it?
6 months.
14 years ago. And you, of course, are very much identified with one great big thing that is so much part of all our musical youth and every age. And that
Wonderful
is
Baby.
American Pie. It was really a growing up song for an awful lot of people. Now, do you get fed up with that? I know you're very protective of the song.
I'm not protective. I just I've had brain damage from being asked about it for 12 years. You know, what does it mean? And,
Yeah, but you're doing a series called American Pie, aren't you? You're doing a
yeah, well,
series.
I'm not doing it, but the funny thing is that the damn song has all these permutations to it. I mean, there's clothes, the children's wear company, there's a porn film, there's a 2-night miniseries they're looking to put on television. There's a 24-part series for kids on America that they're doing called American Pie.
But you must be very proud of it.
Oh, I am. I am proud.
Actually, one of the things that it must have made such a difference to you with this big sort of release of American Pie, it made you into a great sex symbol overnight. I mean, how did you feel about that? All the girls swooning over you.
Well, I didn't mind that one bit.
But were you prepared for it?
I could take a lot of that.
You could. Were you prepared for it?
Well, I was prepared. That was all right, but I didn't like the people going through your garbage. You know, there's a whole other sort of people that check out, you know, what you throw out of the house and all of that I could do without. And
How do you mean? What do you mean?
well, you know, there were, you know, you ever A.J. Weberman? Well, called a Dylanologist, and he used to go through Dylan's trash and find out whatever he threw away, you know, little bits, anything, you know.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
there's that whole crowd that's come around checking out.
But surely that's just the same, isn't it, Rolf? I mean, you and yourself and Jenny must be up against, and that is, if you are in the public eye and you're entertainment, you're on television, they want to know everything about you. Just like now, we actually, believe it or not, we ask pop stars and cricket players for their views on politics. Who cares?
Well,
unless you have something committed to say, as you had. I mean, there was a time when people in your audience thought that you were up to no political good.
Well, they probably still think that.
Do they?
Well, I don't know. I never checked for my FBI file.
Do you think they analyse your songs too much with looking for things in it that you never wrote?
Oh, for sure. People want to find things anywhere they can find them. People are searching for someone to lead them. I believe people are very good, basically. You know, the churches believe they're not. But I've met enough of them to know that the church is wrong. People are good, basically. And that if they do things wrong in life, they pay right here. You suffer for it right now. And they look to people, politicians, you know, to give them answers. And the politicians, and sometimes people even in our business, are the great cynics.
What a lovely thought for Easter. You couldn't have begun to say goodbye for us in a better way.